it's Jessii Vee, and as you can tell by the title of today's video, we're going to be continuing our missing series about kids from the past that went missing in each month. So obviously this month we are on March. I say this every time, but I want to continue to say it. Most of the cases I talk about are from the 1900s, early 1900s, mid 1900s. I don't like to talk about recent cases just out of respect for those families and victims. So a lot of the times these creepy, mysterious cases are from 50 years ago, 100 years ago, but they're still just as compelling. Before we get into it, if you have not seen, I do have a new chalkboard Hogwarts castle behind me. If you would like to win it, all you have to do is be subscribed to this channel, so my Jessii Vee channel, turn on a notification bell, and then head over to my Instagram. It's just Jessii Vee. Follow me there. If I see your username popping up a lot, watching my stories, liking stuff, talking with me, I will choose you. And a second announcement, if you did not know, I am on a website called Cameo, and on there I'm sending you guys personalized videos. If it's your birthday, special event, you just want me to say hi or answer questions. And there's also a chat feature on there so we can actually DM back and forth. I'm really active on there. I reply super quickly, so if you want to talk to me, I have linked that website down below. Alright, so let's get into the video. The first missing persons case is of Joy Regal. She disappeared on March 18th of 1935, and she was only 2 years old at the time. 2-year-old Joy lived on a rural farm with her parents outside of Garden City, Kansas. Now, on this particular day of March 18th, there was this massive dust storm. A dust storm is a wall of dust and debris that is blown into an area by strong winds from thunderstorms. The wall of dust created by a dust storm can be miles long and several thousand feet high. So there's literally warnings in your area if a dust storm is coming. People are pretty afraid of them. And Joy was with her little dog at the time of the storm, and she ended up getting lost in the wall of dust after she had wandered away from the house. Now, this case does have a happy ending, but also a very strange one. She was found 4 hours later, 5 miles away from her house. Her dog was found right beside her, and it made police wonder, how was a 2-year-old able to stay upright while carrying her dog 5 miles away from her house in a horrible windy dust storm? I mean, remember guys, she was only 2 years old. Even full-grown adults struggle to stay upright in a massive dust storm. Now, this story baffles people to this day, and it's startling how many missing persons cases involve a child getting lost with their dog. Alright, this next case is about Edward Jeffries. He went missing on March 30th of 1933, and he was 8 years old at the time. 8-year-old Edward was living at his aunt's home in New South Wales, Australia. His father had passed away, and his mother was currently living in Sydney. On March 3rd, Edward's aunt asked him to round up the cattle that had wandered away from the ranch. Now, he apparently had done this job before, and he did get lost occasionally, but he had always made it home before dark. They had never had to go out and look for him. Well, on this particular day, however, he did not come home. So his aunt notified her neighbors for assistance, and they got in contact with the constable, who rounded up 90 people in the area to start looking for him. They searched for 5 straight days and night, and on one of those days they found a small hut where they believed Edward might have slept in for a little while. Now, the weather was incredibly cold during this search, and many people didn't think that Edward would have been able to survive all that time out in the cold by himself. Now, the sad part about this case is that Edward was never ever found, and people wonder, like, how far could he have gone? Why has nobody seen him or even found his body? So this case will always be a mystery as well. The next case is for Kenneth Crandall. He went missing on March 13th of 1916, and he was only 2.5 years old at the time. It's actually crazy how many cases I've talked about where a 2-year-old is involved. There are so many. It just seems like a common age for a kid to go missing, and I have no idea why. The Crandalls lived on a ranch in Montana, and on March 13th, after the family had finished dinner, Kenneth went outside to play. And then nearly 2 hours after dinner, his mother went outside to look for him, and she was unable to find him. She also realized that his dog, who was a collie, was gone as well. So his parents searched and searched for several hours until they felt like they needed some assistance from the sheriff. The sheriff organized a search party and said he was really concerned about Razor Creek that was nearby their house. They were worried that maybe the boy had fallen into the water and was pulled away by the current. Hundreds of locals were looking for this boy, and on the 3rd day, something very strange happened. Kenneth's collie returned home extremely hungry, and after they fed the dog, it started started to cry as if it wanted them to follow it. They followed the dog for 6 miles until it led them to the boy's body. It was evident that the dog had left him to go and look for help. Now, it was assumed the boy died from hunger and exposure, and it also amazed the sheriff that he had walked for 8 miles by himself, and once again, this was a 2-year-old. Now, the weird part about this case is that the sheriff believed the boy had died within 24 hours that he had been missing, which means he couldn't have died from hunger because he literally got lost right after he had a huge dinner. So someone could survive on that for up to a week. So people really wonder, how did he actually die? And remember, this was back in 1916. They didn't have advanced investigation techniques. It was really hard for them to tell back then what really happened, but still extremely tragic. And the last story is about Faye Crawford. She went missing on March 26th of 1962, and she was only 3 years old. Now, her disappearance occurred in Washington County, and on the night of March 26th, one of the 9 Crawford children had gotten ill. So the sick 1-year-old baby, Faye, and her parents were all driven to the doctor's office by their uncle. And then after seeing a physician, they were all driven back to the uncle's house. When they arrived, they saw that Faye was sleeping soundly in the back seat. So they decided to leave her and let her nap while they all went inside for just a couple minutes. They just wanted to go into the home to say hello, and then they would be going back out to the car. After a few minutes, they returned to their car and found that Faye was gone. It was 10 p.m. at the time, and they decided to immediately call their local sheriff. Law enforcement arrived within half an hour, and they were shocked when they went and examined the car in which the child was left. Both the inside door handles of the car were broken, so the only way to get out of the car from the inside was to roll down the window, reach over, and open the door from the outside. And they could not see how a 3-year-old girl could do that. So the question was, how did she get out of the car with no door handles, with no windows down? They searched all through the night and into the morning for Faye, and she was eventually found wandering barefoot through the woods. She had scratches all over her face, all over her arms, all over her legs, so she was admitted to the hospital for observation. Now, this is where things get a little strange. She apparently told law enforcement a very bizarre story about what happened to her, and they were so intrigued by this story that they continued investigating her case even after she was found. So what were they looking for? Now, what happened to her was actually kept private, and the media never found out. So I guess we'll never truly know exactly what happened to her. The only people that know are her family and law enforcement, which was strange because they had made this such a public case in the media while they were looking for her, and once they found her, it was radio silence. Anyways though guys, those are the 4 cases I'm going to be talking about today. If you want me to continue this series and do one of these for April, definitely give this video a thumbs up and let me know. Don't forget, if you would like one of the new unicorn puke shirts, I have also linked those down below. They are so funny, and each shirt is hand tie-dyed, so it's not a print, it's actually hand dyed by an actual person. It's really authentic. There are 2 different color patterns, and yeah, I just really love them. I think they're like my favorite shirts that we've done, so I've linked them down below. But I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!